Subscribe because it is free and it motivates us to make more videos. Humanity had conquered the stars, not through brute force or divine favor, but through sheer, unrelenting will. Thousands of years after abandoning Earth, their cradle turned wasteland, they'd carved out an empire across the galaxy. Towering space stations orbited gas giants, their hulls gleaming with the sweat of human labor. Colonies thrived on worlds no other species dared touch. Acid rain planets, frozen moons, even the husks of dead stars. Aliens marveled at it. Humans didn't just survive, they thrived where others withered. Their cities buzzed with life, trade. Routes pulsed with freighters, and their fleets roamed the void, a testament to a species that refused to bow. Earth was a footnote, a dusty relic left to rot, its skies grey, its oceans still. No one looked back until the darkness came. It started with a whisper. A fringe system went silent. No distress calls, no debris, just nothing. Then another fell, and another. The Umbral Collective didn't announce itself with fanfare. It consumed. Shadows bled from the edges of known space, a tide of black that swallowed stars whole. Planets turned to husks, their atmospheres stripped, their cores cold. Alien empires, older and wiser than humanity, crumbled first. The Clitherans, with their crystal spires, vanished overnight. The Zorvacs, masters of gravity tech, broadcast one garbled scream before static. Panic spread like wildfire. Fleets retreated, civilizations hid. But humans dug in. Admirals barked orders, engineers jury-rigged weapons, and pilots volunteered for suicide runs. They didn't know what they faced, but they'd be damned if they ran. The collective wasn't alive, not in any way they understood. A hive mind of void, relentless, unstoppable, and it was coming closer. On the edge of human space, a scout ship drifted through the wreckage of a fallen colony. The stalwart, a rust bucket held together by grit and duct tape, wasn't much to look at. Its crew, 5 humans, no aliens, picked through the silence, sensors straining. Captain Razor, a wiry veteran, stared at the hollow display as it flickered with static. "Another one gone," she muttered, voice hard. The navigator, a kid barely out of training, pulled up logs. No survivors, no fight, just emptiness. Then the comms crackled. A signal, faint and old, cut through the noise. Coordinates blinked on screen. Sol System Earth. "That's impossible," the engineer growled, wiping grease from his hands. "Earth's dead. Has been for millennia." Reza leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Then why is it talking?" The crew argued fast. The collective was closing in, chewing through systems like locusts. They could run, report back, let someone else deal with it. But humans don't run from mysteries. They chase them. "Set course," Razor snapped. "We're going home." The stalwart punched through hyperspace, engines groaning as it hurtled towards Sul. Earth loomed ahead, a grey marble wrapped in storms. No lights, no cities, just a graveyard of a world. The crew braced for nothing. Maybe a glitch, maybe a trap. But as they hit orbit, the ship jolted, sensors screamed, redlining with data. Something was down there, deep in the planet's core, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Energy spike!" the kid shouted, hands shaking on the controls. "It's off!" "The charts!" Razor gripped the console, staring at the readings. This wasn't natural. It wasn't alien. It was human, old, buried, and waking up. The ship shuddered again, lights flickering as a low hum rumbled through the hull. Whatever it was, it knew they were there, and it was angry. The stalwart dropped through Earth's atmosphere, engines choking on dust and static. The planet was a ruin. Jagged peaks stabbed through cracked plains, and storms lashed the surface with relentless fury. No green, no blue, just grey and rust. A world that looked like it had died screaming. The crew strapped in, faces grim as the ship rattled. Reza barked orders over the howl of wind, guiding them toward the signal's source, a faint pulse buried beneath the crust. "There," the kid pointed, voice tight, as sensors locked onto a rift splitting the earth. It wasn't natural. It was too straight, too deep, like something had clawed its way out, or in. They touched down hard, metal groaning, and stepped into the gale. Suits sealed, they trudged forward, boots crunching on brittle stone, the air thick with the smell of ozone and decay. The rift led to a tunnel, smooth and ancient, walls etched with faded glyphs no one could read. Flashlights cut through the dark, revealing a chamber vast enough to swallow a city. In its center stood a machine, titanic, angular, its surface black and slick like obsidian. Cables thicker than a man snaked into the floor, humming with faint power. "What the hell is this?" the engineer muttered, running a scanner. The reading spiked. Energy, yes, but something else, something alive. Then it spoke. A voice boomed from the machine, deep and grinding, shaking the chamber. "I am the Guardian, built to shield this world. Who dares wake me?" Reza stepped forward, unflinching. "Humans, your makers, we're back." The machine pulsed, lights flaring along its frame, and the air grew heavy. "You abandoned this place," it rumbled. "You are not welcome." The crew exchanged glances. This wasn't a relic, it was awake, aware, and pissed. Before they could react, the Guardian moved. Not physically, its presence surged, a wave of force that slammed them against the walls. The ground trembled as it tapped into Earth's core, magnetic fields twisting wild. Outside, the stalwart sparked and died, its systems fried by an EMP blast that rolled across the planet. "Intruders," the Guardian intoned, lights shifting red. "All who trespass must be purged." The kid scrambled to a console, jabbing at controls, pulling up data. "It's a defense system," he yelled. "Old human tech, meant to fight something big." Reza cursed, piecing it together. Their ancestors had built this thing to protect Earth, then left it dormant when they fled to the stars. Now it saw them as threats, same as anything else. The chamber shook harder, dust raining from the ceiling, and a new sound rose, a whine, sharp and building, like a weapon charging. Then the galaxy felt it. The Guardian's signal erupted, a beacon of raw power ripping through space. On the stalwart's dead screens, Reza saw the blips before the power cut, the umbral collective, that tide of shadow turning toward Earth. They'd poked the Hornet's nest, and now the Hornets were coming. "Shut it down!" the engineer roared, but the Guardian's voice drowned him out. "Threat detected. Engaging protocol." The whine peaked, and a beam of light stabbed upward, punching through the crust visible from orbit. It wasn't aimed at them. It was priming something bigger. The crew stumbled back as the machine's core glowed molten, its purpose clear. Total annihilation of anything that moved. Reza grabbed the kid's arm, dragging him toward the tunnel. "We woke it." "Up," she hissed. "And it's not on our side." The umbral collective hit Earth's system like a tidal wave of night. Shadows poured from hyperspace, a writhing mass that choked the stars, their edges flickering with unnatural hunger. Human fleets warped in, patchwork armadas of frigates, and fighters, their hulls scarred from earlier clashes. Admirals shouted over comms, coordinating a defense no one thought could hold. "Form up! Hit them hard!" a voice crackled, and ships surged forward, cannons blazing. Plasma tore into the darkness, briefly scattering it, but the collective reformed, relentless. Destroyers vanished in seconds, swallowed whole, yet the pilots kept coming. Humans didn't know how to quit. Earth hung below, its storms glowing. Under the Guardian's beam, a beacon drawing the enemy like moths to flame. The fleet fought to buy time, their defiance a spark against the void. Down in the chamber, the stalwart crew battled their own war. The Guardian's hum drowned out everything, its core pulsing hotter, the weapon nearly charged. Razor slammed. A datapad against the console, uploading logs from the ship, records of humanity's spread, their victories, their survival. "Look at this," she shouted, voice raw. "We're not the enemy, we're yours." The machine paused, lights flickering as it processed. "You fled," it rumbled, skeptical. "You left me to rust." The kid jumped in, hands flying over controls. "We didn't know. We thought Earth was done. Look at what we've built. Out there." The Guardian's voice softened, just a fraction. "Prove it." The engineer patched in live feeds from the fleet, showing humans dying to protect their old home. The machine watched, silent, as ships rammed shadows head-on, crews screaming battle cries to the end. "This is us," Razor said. "Stubborn as hell! Help us!" Outside, the collective tightened its grip. A cruiser exploded, debris raining into Earth's orbit, and the shadows pressed closer, tendrils lashing at the planet. The Guardian shifted, its beam retracting, then flaring anew, brighter, sharper. "Threat confirmed!" It boomed, voice steady, realigning target. The crew exhaled, shaky but alive, as the machine's power redirected. Above, the fleet saw it first. A surge of light erupted from Earth, a solar flare amplified by the Guardian's tech, slamming into the collective. Shadows shrieked, a sound that tore through comms and burned away, their edges crisping to nothing. Human ships dove into the gap, missiles flying, turning chaos into slaughter. The collective faltered, its unity cracking, and the tide turned. Cheers erupted across channels, ragged and fierce. They were winning. But the Guardian's core trembled. Cracks split the chamber floor, heat searing the air, and the whine spiked again, unstable, wild. "Power surge!" the engineer yelled, scanning readouts. "It's overloading!" The machine's voice cut through, calm but strained. "This weapon was not meant for such scale. One strike remains, then I end." Razor gripped the console, mind racing. "Can you take them all out?" The Guardian pulsed, calculating. "Yes, but Earth will break. Choose." The crew froze, the weight crushing. Above, the fleet fought on, unaware, buying seconds with blood. The collective regrouped, shadows thickening, ready to swallow everything. "Do it," Razor said, voice hard. "Save the galaxy. We'll figure out the rest." The Guardian hummed, final, resolute. "As you command, Makers." The final battle ignited Earth's sky. The Guardian's core roared, a furnace of light that shook the planet to its bones. Above, the human fleet danced through hell, fighters darted between shadow tendrils, cannons blazing, while hulks of dying ships crashed into the collective, tearing holes in its mass. "Hold the line!" an admiral bellowed, voice breaking as her frigate split apart. The Guardian's beam charged, a spear of solar fire building in the crust, its glow visible through the storms. The collective sensed it, shadows surging downward, clawing at the surface to stop the inevitable. Pilots dove into the fray, ramming their craft into the darkness, buying seconds with their lives. The air crackled, charged with fury and sacrifice as the weapon peaked. Then it fired. A column of plasma erupted, pure and blinding, ripping through Earth's atmosphere into the void. It hit the collective dead center, a sun's wrath unleashed, and the shadows burned. They didn't scream. They disintegrated, vaporized in waves, their hive mind shattering under the assault. The fleet scattered, ships pulling back as the flare torched everything in its path. From the chamber, the stalwart crew watched the ceiling crack, the Guardian's voice steady even as it frayed. "Threat neutralized," it said, lights dimming. But the cost came fast. The planet groaned, fissures splitting wider, magma bubbling up as the core destabilized. "Get out!" Razor yelled, dragging the kid toward the tunnel. The machine's frame buckled, melting into itself. its purpose done. Earth was breaking apart. They ran, suits scorched, as the chamber collapsed behind them. Outside, the surface heaved. Mountains crumbled, oceans boiled, and the sky turned red with ash. The stalwart was gone, fried days ago. But a rescue shuttle screamed down from the fleet, engines howling. The crew piled in, breathless, as the craft shot upward. From orbit they saw it, Earth fracturing, chunks of crust spinning into space. A world dying in a blaze of glory. The collective was ash, the galaxy safe, but their home was gone. Silence filled the shuttle, heavy and raw. "Worth it," the engineer muttered, staring at the wreckage. No one argued. They'd traded their past to save the future, humanity's oldest trick. The fleet limped away, survivors broadcasting the news. The darkness was dead. Across human worlds, people cheered, wept, vowed to rebuild. Earth's loss cut deep, but it forged a legend. They'd stood where others fell, turned a forgotten relic into a galaxy's salvation. Colonies doubled efforts, ships scouted new homes, and humanity spread further, fiercer than before. The Guardian's sacrifice wasn't the end. It was fuel. Tales spread of other machines, buried on lost worlds, whispers of power waiting to be claimed. Humans listened, eyes sharp, already planning. They'd lost their cradle, but the stars were theirs, and they'd fight for every inch. Then, months later, a signal pinged, a faint pulse deep in the void, cold and unfamiliar. Something was out there, watching. They'd be ready.